If you've been following my story, you've probably noticed that while Roy lives at home in a big mansion because his parents are rich, Seth and I live in a dormitory at the Stratham School for Gifted Children. Just in case you're wondering, no, Seth and I aren't orphans. And no, neither of us were ever a problem for our parents. The simple truth is that our parents are gone. Not gone as in the dearly departed who are buried in Pleasantville's cemetery, but gone from this world because they're on an expedition to Mars. What's this, you ask? An expedition to Mars? There's no such thing?
I've been going to Comic-Con for 10 years. If there was an expedition to Mars, I'd know about
Mars?
it.
Shh. The mission is top secret and hush-hush. The National Space Agency was worried that if word got out, it might have kicked off a space race. Sort of like when Oklahoma was open to the first settlers back in 1889. People went crazy trying to outrace each other so that they could claim the best land for their homesteads. While today's technology is different, the idea of a land grab is pretty much the same as it was when the Oklahoma Territory was first opened to settlers in 1889. If our National Space Agency had announced that we were sending a group of colonists to Mars, you can pretty much bet that the European Union, China, and the Russian Federation would also have been launching spaceships to Mars. By doing this on the down low, it was hoped that a quietly launched expedition to Mars could arrive without any competition so that they could scout out the best locations prior to staking a claim and establishing the first colony on the Red Planet.
Welcome to Mars.
Our parents left nearly 9 months ago and should soon be in Mars orbit. Although they've been good about sending messages back home, since they're 140 million miles away, there's a 13-minute lag time. In other words, they're so far away that it takes 13 minutes for a radio signal from Mars to reach Earth. Although I wish we could have a nice long talk, they've limited their messages to just once per week so as to reduce the chances that anyone will notice radio transmissions coming from Mars. They pre-record their messages and send it out on an encrypted burst transmission that only takes a fraction of a second to send. The messages are received at the Operations Center in Houston. Since today is Wednesday, Seth and I were in our lab, eagerly waiting for our weekly message to arrive. And look, there it is now. While Seth watches his message on his computer, let's see what Mom and Dad had to say on mine.
Hello, Pumpkin,
said Dad.
We're just a week from Mars orbit, and we're looking forward to doing a near-orbit survey of Mars for future colonists.
Beth stared at the computer and imagined that she was talking to her father in real time, face to face. What had her father meant by future colonists? He and Mom and Seth's parents, along with several others, were supposed to be the first colonists on Mars. What had changed?
The problem,
said Mom,
is that we got hit with a micrometeor. Nobody is hurt, but the meteor hit the fusion reactor that was supposed to provide unlimited energy for the colony. The meteor damaged the flux capacitor, and while we have lots of spare parts, we don't have an additional flux capacitor because we didn't anticipate ever having to replace it.
Without reliable power,
said Dad,
we can't establish a colony. The decision was therefore made to abort the mission. We'll do a few orbitals to conduct a survey, and then we'll burn for home.
As you know, although the trip was 9 months out, due to orbital mechanics, it'll take 3 years to return home. We're disappointed, of course,
said Mom.
But we're looking forward to again seeing you.
We're very proud of you,
said my dad.
Dr. Stratham has kept us apprised of your many accomplishments.
You have done very well for yourself, and we couldn't be more proud. Logging off for now,
said Mom.
Hugs and kisses, my dear.
Beth stared at her computer as the message ended. As much as she loved her parents and longed to see them, even if it wouldn't be for another 3 years, she also didn't want the first expedition to Mars to fail. Seth looked at her as he finished watching the video message from his parents.
We can't let this mission fail. We just can't.
But what can we do? Asked Beth. You heard them. The flux capacitor is broken and they don't have a spare,
We'll make them a new one.
replied Seth.
Since my father was the engineer who designed and built the fusion reactor, I have the specs on his computer for building this part. I could fabricate a replacement, and then we could deliver it.
Beth frowned. I don't have anything that could travel 140 million miles.
Hello, you're Elizabetha, the goddess of time and wind.
So?
So we can take the flux capacitor and go back in time before our parents ever left. You hide the flux capacitor in the cargo that's bound for Earth's orbit, and then we send our parents a coded message to tell them where the spare was hidden. Easy peasy.
That's easy for you to say. Security will be tight, so getting onto the base will be a challenge.
We can fly the dirigible over the base and use a cloaking device to hide it from being seen.
But I can still be seen on radar,
No problem.
said Seth.
We'll just fly the dirigible as low as possible so as to be below radar level. And if anything goes wrong, as the goddess of time and wind, you may always reset time to before a mistake was made and we were caught.
I wish I could say that everything went swimmingly and that we were in and out of the base without any problems.
Security personnel to Sector 4. Security personnel to Sector 4.
As it was, it took 76 efforts before we were successful. For every mistake we made, I reset the time and we started over.
When we made the mistake of flying too low, our ship crashed through a man's house.
A helicopter gunship fired on us even though we were cloaked and there was no visible target. On the base, searchlights caught us climbing down a rope ladder. Guard dogs tracked us down by following our scent. Hidden security cameras directed the military police to our location. Infrared sensors that could not be seen by anyone without an infrared helmet alerted guards to our presence. The number of failures seemed endless, but with the help of my powers to reset time, we finally hid the flux capacitor in the bottom of a bin that was filled with military rations. In the morning, Seth and I recorded a call to the Endeavour, the spaceship that our parents were on. We told our parents to look in bin 26R42. On the following Wednesday, our parents called to let us know that they had found the flux capacitor. Having received the replacement part, Seth's dad was able to confirm that the reactor was online and ready for deployment to the planetary surface of Mars. The colonization of Mars was back on.
I don't know where this part came from, but I'm grateful to have received it.
My parents had a lot of questions about how a spare flux capacitor wound up in a bin of rations. For once, I was grateful for the time and distance that prevented us from having a live conversation. As far as I was concerned, the less they knew about my new abilities, the less they needed to worry. Just 3 weeks later, the Endeavour made history when one of the crew members planted the American flag at the bottom of a deep valley that was surrounded by towering cliffs.
Hey Hank, come over here so I can snap a photo.
While this location may not have seemed like the best place to found a colony,
This location doesn't have the best view.
a low-orbit survey had detected breathable air at the bottom of this deep valley, as well as a small amount of freestanding water that spilled from a hole in an ancient cliff. With air to breathe and water to drink, the lives of these first colonists would be made that much easier. Although this meant that it would be many years before Seth and I ever saw our parents, the success of their mission made this sacrifice worthwhile. Logging off for the night from the Stratham School for Gifted Children, this is Beth, signing off.
If you like this video and would like to see more content, Please help this channel to grow by clicking on the like and subscribe buttons.
Yeah!